stream some sort of like worlds or something.
It started. Okay. So, uh, welcome to the Geek Culture and Philosophy Podcast, episode number 2. My name is Mike.
And my name's RC.
And we're here to talk about the topics that interest us in the realm of geekdom, politics, and philosophy.
That's right. If you've never listened to the show before, that's generally what we do. Talk about a little bit of geek culture in the beginning and then maybe some cultural stuff at the end.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about this week's episode. A lot happened this week, and I think if anybody does listen, they'll be really excited to hear our opinions. By the way, if you don't like our opinions, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and also hit the bell for notifications for when we upload new videos. And do that if you like our opinions as well. And if you're just on our opinions, also do that. Okay, so first topic today, I want to talk about heavily the Magic Un-bannings that happened this week, and how they just show that Magic is not only desperate but has also given up. I guess it's actually insane.
Okay, so to clarify, which bannings or un-bannings are we talking about? Which format? All that?
In the modern format of Magic the Gathering, both Jason the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf have been unbanned. Now, I will be full disclosure here. I predicted this day would happen. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, RC, but I've said this at least a dozen times to people in comic shops and Magic shops. That
you've been to quite a few of them.
Yeah, that there will be a day, when talking about the modern ban list, I said there will be a day where they will unban both Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf, and it will happen on the same day.
You think they're like a pair of cards that just go together?
Yeah, because Bloodbraid Jace is the most powerful of the two cards, but Bloodbraid Elf is its perfect answer, right?
Okay. Yes.
That's how I see it. But the thing is I don't think the format was ready for Jace, and I don't think the format's ready for Bloodbraid Elf. And it was literally done to sell a Magic set. It's and that is crazy. You sent me a text. Sorry, I'll let you get in here.
I agree with what you're saying. And what did I want to say about this? Of the two cards, they both were Bloodbraid Elf was legal and modern at one time. Is that correct? Or were they both?
Bloodbraid Elf was
Jace has always been banned. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure because they announced the modern format after he was banned in standard, and I think he was on the original ban list. I don't think Jace the Mind Sculptor was ever legal in modern.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever legal in modern. I would say, how in Magic we talk about the Power 9 being those cards back from Alpha and Beta that were, so powerful, so expensive. People talk about them, and if you have one in your deck, it's so crazy. I would say Jace the Mind Sculptor is a power card of the modern format or the modern era of Magic. He's one of those legendary cards that's super expensive. And it's kind of not everybody has one. Maybe one out of your friends might have one. And he just kind of wrecked standard when he was in print. And
I remember playing against him. Yeah,
right. Did you ever play with him?
No, I never played with him. So that was when I first started playing Magic. What a time to come into Magic, right? When Callblade was the deck.
It was just a very powerful deck.
So I was playing against the viewers won't know, but a friend of ours we'll just say his name's Gabe. RC will know who I'm talking about. And he's a really nice guy, but I'm just playing against him, and I'm just playing my janky little mono green Infect deck before Infect decks were even a thing at the time. And I'm playing big giant 6-drops and 5-drops that I'm oh man, when I get these out, I'm gonna totally destroy someone. And he just puts a sort of Feast and Famine or whatever on a 1/1 flyer, and I'm whoa, I can't beat that at all. then you just drop Jace the Mind Sculptor, and he's just fixing his hand with counter spells for the rest of the game, and I'm what am I supposed to do? So that was my first. One of my first. That's how you get hooked on Magic, kids. Is play against Stoneforge Mystic and Jace the Mind Sculptor. But
right. And those cards you're all talking about are all cost under 4 mana, and you're talking about playing cards that are like 5 and 6 mana probably. And when you first start getting into Magic, you think that like a lot of those big awesome creatures are like, that's how I'm going to win. This is what real power is. But then as you play, you start to see like, oh no, it's the little cheap, cost-effective spells and cards that kind of actually give you that edge most of the time. And those big cards basically are unplayable unless you have a way to kind of cheat them into play early.
Yeah, and Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbright Elf, at least for modern standards, they'll top the list on effect. Like, you sent me a text like right when it happened that I'm pretty sure said, "Why would anybody play any card other than Bloodbright Elf?"
Right.
Like,
yeah, because as awesome as Jace is, I actually think that maybe Bloodbraid Elf is more powerful in the modern format, but we'll see. Time will tell on that.
Yeah. There's really no way of telling for sure. My gut would say that Bloodbraid Elf will actually be better than Jace. Jace will be more fun and it'll be more splashier. When like the thing is like you'll hear the stories of when Jace wins people's games coming soon, but what we're not going to hear is just everyone just getting crushed by Bloodbraid Elf over and over again. Right. Just like you're not going to want to tell your friends about the time that the guy just Bloodbraided Elf into Liliana the Veil and that was the game. So
right.
You know.
Yeah, because typically we'll say the Bloodbraid Elf fits into the Jund deck, I guess historically, and Jace was always in a blue-white or blue-black control deck, mostly blue-white, but in modern he could go maybe Grixis or something like that.
Yeah, the first thing I saw, people we're just going to play blue, red, green and play Jace and Bloodbraid Elf. So,
okay. All right. Well, that's one way to do it, I guess.
Which is what, and I'll be honest, like you're gonna think lesser of me for this, RC.
Yes.
But when they announced the unbannings, it made me want to play Magic. Like it really, I want to play with Jace the Mind Sculptor in Modern. Like that's the thing I really want to do. But
do you currently own any copies of the card?
I think I own one.
You won? Okay, all right.
I think I own one. I think I have to look at my bind. I might have sold it. I don't remember.
All right. So if you want that playset, you just have to come up with another $400.
Well, no, yeah. Well, here's the. I own the modern land base. Like I own almost all the fetches and all the shocks. So that's something, right? And, well, I don't want to get into a discussion about my collection, but what I want to say, the only point I'm trying to make here is that I'm someone who, even though I love the game, I wouldn't play unless it was like Cube Draft, basically, which is like the only format that interests me right now in Magic because they're all so awful. But once I hear Jace the Mind Sculptor got unbanned, I was like, I opened up a Google Doc and started designing a 4-color control deck where I got to play Bloodbraid Elf and Jace in the same. I'm just like, oh, I can make this work, you know. But
yeah. The one thing I would think about that is like if you're playing Jace, are you playing additional counter spells and things on top of that? Because you don't want to Bloodbraid into a counter spell or something that basically fizzles.
Yeah. That's the problem. Is you can't play Bloodbraid and Jace in the same deck. But I mean you can, but it's not good because the best cards with Jace are counter spells and the worst cards with Bloodbraid Elf are counter spells. So
yeah. So you were saying that your theory is that, okay, they unbanned these cards. So anyway, you were going back. These are 2 really powerful cards, both banned from the Modern format, because when Modern was a new format, it seems like Wizards wanted to remove all the usual suspects of like overpowered, broken decks. And the original,
when the original Modern ban list came out, it was like a history of like Magic's most broken decks through that period of time that Modern existed. Like the Affinity stuff was banned, the Fairy stuff was banned, Elves was banned, just like really broken decks, that we all knew were broken, and then they kind of figured out like. like they figured out that some stuff was actually broken and they had to ban other stuff, and then some stuff wasn't broken, like I remember when Bitter Blossom came off the ban list. People don't even remember Bitter Blossom was ever on the ban list nowadays. And that card's like, it's not that it's a bad card, but it's just so bad in the modern format, you know.
Yeah.
So, but my real problem with these unbannings, RC, is that, and I get this from just looking at things, but also I got a good point. I'm going to mention MTG Purple is a great Magic the Gathering YouTube channel.
I was watching one of his videos earlier today.
Yeah, and the fact that it seems almost a certainty that Jace was unbanned to sell a Magic set. And that is the Masters 25 that's coming up, where we know Jace is in it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are now using the ban list, the thing that's supposed to create healthy formats, to sell the product is very, I would say even more concerning than the horrible card stock quality, which I think is the biggest problem in Magic right now.
Yes.
Even more concerning than that, even more concerning than the poorly designed standard sets, even more concerning than the horrible mechanics and the standard bannings, even more concerning than all these extra products that no one cares about.
And all the creeps in the judge program.
Yeah, and all.
No, we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. But I didn't. I can't believe I forgot about that. That's actually the worst thing. But because it actually hurts children, which is to me disgusting. But we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. It's something
sorry,
else.
But but if we're talking about mechanically for the game, the fact that they're using the ban list to sell product is insane. We already showed flashes of it with the stupid when they decided to say, "Hey, we're unbanning silver bordered cards in Commander."
Yes, that's true. Yeah, in order to sell unstable.
Yeah, because no one was going to buy people were going to do one draft of unstable and maybe buy a box to go draft with their friends. But those are the only and only people interested in doing that were going to buy it. Other than that, there was no yes, the lands are cool, but the lands were not dropping at higher enough rates to get people to, or the foil ones at least.
Yeah,
you're not dropping at high enough.
I'm sorry, you weren't even guaranteed a foil land in every box, which is so
silly. I saw YouTubers open boxes of it because I wanted to see what the foil lands look like on camera, and I was like, oh yeah, they'll open some. And I watched a couple YouTubers just not open one in a whole box, and I'm like, I get 3 foil lands in a box of regular standard set. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Except you know what I mean. But it's just because what I predict. So this is my prediction for this: is that they'll be legal for a year until the next Modern Pro Tour, and then they will be banned again. Is my guess.
Okay. Prior to the Pro Tour or after the Pro Tour?
Prior to the Pro Tour.
Okay.
Because they don't want because I think the format will be solved by then, and it will be solved in a way where either Jace the Mind Sculptor or Bloodblade Elf or both are the only 2 cards you can play in the format.
Okay. You think they're going to be that powerful? They're going to make that much of an impact on the format?
It's okay.
It's a prediction.
I agree. It's hard not to say that a card that sees play in Legacy, Jace the Mind Sculptor, in a format that is so the line for how good a card has to be is so high to play in that format, because it's either because if it's in the regular mid-range or tempo decks, it either has to be one of the best cards ever printed, or there's of course there's also the decks that are niche decks. Obviously Nettle Sentinel is not the most powerful card in the world, but in the Elves Legacy deck it's one of the best cards, right? But that's not, but if it's neither a niche card or a just one of the most powerful Magic cards ever printed, it's not seeing play in the format. So the fact that Jace the Mind Sculptor does as a 4-drop in decks that don't have mana ramp. Well, they play Deathrite Shaman probably. Oh, it's banned in Legacy now, isn't it? Or no?
I don't know about a Legacy. I know he's banned in Modern.
Maybe not. I could be wrong. I haven't played Legacy in a while. Either way, I see the format being warped by both Bloodbraid Elf and Jace. What do you think?
Well, from what I've heard, first of all, I have to give a little disclosure here. I don't play in Modern tournaments. I read a little bit online, but I don't follow it too heavily, and Legacy even less so. So most of my information regarding these type of cards that make impacts in these formats comes from my friends who do play in the formats and follow it closer than I. From what I've heard about Jace the Mind Sculptor, he is present in Legacy, but I don't think he exists as a 4 of, or he's not commonly a 4 of in the Legacy decks.
No, that's true. He's not really a 4, because you just can't play that many 4 drops in a format where you don't even get to make your 4th land drop a lot of the time. I guess he probably has seen a decrease in play. I haven't looked at lists, but I would guess that since Top got banned, and Miracles isn't a deck anymore, he probably does not see as much play. I
mean, he's played it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But he has made splashes even in decks that don't play like Top. Like I played a Legacy deck back in the day that just like was bug control, and played Jace the Mind Sculptor. So like I don't know. Well,
okay, so he's played in Legacy. He's not played as a 4 of, but the cards that exist in Legacy are more powerful. So if he's going to be in Modern, he's going to be played against cards that are weaker as a whole when you compare it to the pool of cards in Legacy.
Yeah,
so,
and yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. But I think the main card we're missing, we have to remember here, is Force of Will. Jace is way more powerful in a format that does have Force of Will than one that doesn't. It's obviously Modern. Because if you tap out for Jace, you have to have a way to protect it. And in Legacy, that's Force of Will. But in Modern, it's nothing right now, as far as we've seen.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, I think I see Bloodbraid making a bigger splash than Jace on the whole. But I don't see a world where he's not in one of the best decks in the format. So
sure. So it is also worth noting that traditionally when people play Jace, they also have Stoneforge Mystic, and well, at least in Standard, that was the deck that he was like very abusive in, was where he was paired up with Stoneforge Mystic, and that card is still banned. So I don't know if that matters at all. And again, I don't really know what the Modern landscape looks like. I do think Jace will probably make his way into some decks that have like Sphinx's Revelation and stuff as what they're like working their way into with the Supreme Verdicts and things like that to kind of protect him a little bit. What type of decks do you think he'll be fit into?
I'm sure there'll be control decks. Like my favorite deck in Modern's history was the blue-white-red control deck, where it was basically a burn deck that played a bunch of counter spells. Where you just played Path and a bunch of counter spells, and you controlled the board until and Bolt or whatever, until it was to a point where you could burn them out with Snapcaster Mage and Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolts. You played cards like Path and Lightning Helix, so you didn't die in the early game, and then you eventually were just killing them with Lightning Helix's flashback from the that was my favorite deck. I chopped 115 to GP playing the deck. I mean, I know that doesn't sound very impressive, but it was
good, man.
It was like a 4,000 player tournament, and then I was and not like I'm a great player or anything, but that was a really exciting thing for me to be able to do, was to place that well in a tournament, And so that deck has a really soft spot in my heart. I always check Modern top 8s just to see if that deck is good ever again, but it hasn't been. So it kind of crushes my soul. But maybe with Jace the Mind Sculptor, it'll make a comeback. I don't know.
Maybe.
Go
ahead.
And as for Bloodbraid Elf, I think he'll just go in Jund's shells, and that'll be the best Bloodbraid Elf deck again.
Yeah. Do you think Jund for a while was the top deck in Modern when the format was young, and later I guess Deathrite Shaman was added, or was Modern this format? Did Modern start out with Return to Ravnica, or was that released after the Modern format has already been established?
Sure Deathrite Shaman was after Modern was announced.
Okay, and so Modern was, Jund was the top tier deck in the early days of a modern, and that was before Deathrite Shaman. So of course, the Jund deck doesn't get Deathrite Shaman now. It won by having a lot of like 2-for-1 type cards, or cards that just gave like additional value to what the mana costs were, and the mana base was it was with all the lands available to you, it was so easy to get all 3 of those colors.
Well, Jund doesn't have a lot of 2-for-1. Its best 2-for-1s are Liliana the Veil and Bloodbraid Elf.
Yes.
So it made it. That was how it. So that was its top end. So like it had the best 1-for-1s in the whole format in its deck basically. So you played blow for blow for spells. I guess you can count Dark Confidant as a 2-for-1 if it doesn't die, but usually it's a 1-for-1 because they have to answer it or else they just lose the game, right? Yeah. So like I'm pretty sure Bloodbraid Elf and Deathrite Shaman were legal together for a certain period of time, and then first they banned Bloodbraid Elf, and then they realized that it was still too powerful. Like Deathrite Shaman was the problem and not Bloodbraid Elf. And then but instead of unbanning Bloodbraid Elf, since they'd already banned it, they just banned Deathrite Shaman.
Okay, so that's how that worked. Okay.
Well, obviously it's unbanned now, but when they banned Deathrite Shaman, they didn't also unban Bloodbraid Elf, obviously. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how the timeline went.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, like I see Jund being a very good deck, but I don't know. Like anything that makes Tron less playable, I'm happy with for the modern format. So it's just the unbanned 2 cards that don't go in Tron. I'm fine with that.
Now, one of my friends that I work with who plays a lot of modern, he plays the Tron deck, and he doesn't seem too worried about the unbannings, but I don't know. I guess that's because he's loyal to his deck. One little thing we did talk about was that it's possible if Jace and Bloodbraid Elf, I guess to a lesser degree, start taking up a lot of the prominent decks out there. We were kind of just like brainstorming, like, oh, could it be like possible that maybe a deck would appear that plays a lot of like Sorcerer Spyglass, Pithing Needles, and then like Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus to like animate these things as like 5/5s and kind of like as like a countermeasure. You know, you play a Pithing Needle and then say Jace the Mind Sculptor, you kind of shut down their like main weapon, so to speak, and then later you like turn it into a beater. Do you think that because then you also get to play blue spells in that deck, so would that be possible, you think?
Yeah, but then it's a blue deck that you're not playing. That you're not playing Jason because you have to Pithing Needle the Jace. So I don't know. That doesn't sound good to me. Like a deck that like main decks Pithing Needle, but
again, I have very little experience with this.
I don't want to be rude, but if that becomes a deck, I think
did I ever tell you about my Dinosaur EDH deck? It's so awesome.
I'll just say that if a deck that main decks Pithing Needle becomes a deck, Jace is going back on the ban list.
Well, no,
so fast, because that is not a healthy format. The fact that people are main decking Pithing Needle.
No, but if you knew enough about Modern and you knew all the decks that were out there, because there's not as many decks in Modern as there are in Legacy. If you just knew the decks that were out there, like if you could tell on like turn 1 based on what land they played or whatever, like okay, this is the Tron deck, or okay, this is the White Weenie deck or whatever, you would and you knew enough about what their deck lists were, you could start naming cards out of their decks just based on like what most people play, because most people net deck what the decks they're going to play.
True, but I Pithing Needle's not a main deck card. I don't care how many Tezzeret Agents of Boluses you're playing. Also, were you having this conversation,
folks? I'm a complete idiot.
Were you having a conversation with Vince by chance? I'm just kidding. The people won't know who Vince is, but honestly knows who Vince is.
All right. I apologize for the last 5 minutes. I made a fool of myself.
No, you didn't. I thought it was. All right, I think we should wrap up the Magic conversation.
Oh well, I wanted to revisit the idea that you were saying, like, okay, so they unban these cards, specifically Jace, in order to sell the next set, which is Magic 25.
Yeah, Masters 25 is what it's a Masters set. So it's 25.
So the thing is, Jace has been reprinted in other master sets, and he still had a hefty price tag even when he was on the banned list. And Tarmogoyf has been consistently over $100. It's been reprinted in many master sets. I'm not saying it's in this set, but like that didn't really.
Well, Tarmogoyf actually took a price hit recently. You could get him for like $60 recently, I think.
No, really.
Because they weren't being played. Well, in Modern they kind of like Jund and like Tarmogoyf took a hit. Like the best decks were not Tarmogoyf decks, as far as I know. Like the best decks were like Grixis for a while. So and like Tron and like Burn. So all decks that don't play Tarmogoyf. Now with Bloodbraid Elf being unbanned, that might change.
That's possible.
I think he was. I think he was creeping back up anyway because Tarmogoyf's just that good of a card.
Mm-hmm.
But if so this is basically a line straight out of the MTG Purple video I got. So if you're saying I'm copying him, like our video and comment how we copied him, and also hit the bell for notifications and send us an email. Awesome.
Sounds
okay,
good.
and if you
that
don't,
email is the GCAP podcast at gmail.com.
Yes. Please send us emails and please subscribe and like the video and comment on it and hit the bell for notifications, whether you disagree, agree, or not in either of those with us. Okay. So, what I was saying. The final thoughts would be that the fact that Wizards is pushing the sale of a product, like the fact, like, and this is a quote from the video. They if you look at the announcement, like the actual article they released, RC, I don't know if you read it. They literally have there's a line that says, that Jace will be available in Masters 25. Like
in the description of the set, they call out the card by name.
So like, I'm pretty sure it's the first banned and restricted announcement where a product was mentioned. I could be wrong. I obviously can't remember every banned and restricted announcement that's ever happened, but I don't think I've ever seen one where they actually mentioned a future product in the announcement. That is crazy to me. And if Wizards like actually liked players, other than obviously putting the cards on better stock and making better sets, these master sets that they even though they say they ignore the secondary market, they obviously pay attention to the secondary market when it comes to these sets.
Yeah.
If they would just print it like a standard set. Like it should be like this Masters 25, or honestly it should be every Masters, but if they wanted to start now, Masters 25 should be just as available as that crappy Amonkhet set, or both of them they made. But it won't be. They'll keep it scarce enough to where it can actually still retail at $10 a pack or whatever they're going to sell it for.
And you can get your Kakusho Evening Stars for $10.
Yeah, get it. I think one of the. It looks like one of the mythics is going to be Platinum Empyrean.
I did see that. Well, at least it's new artwork, I guess.
I guess, but I guess if you're even an EDH, just so you know, if you guys play EDH, don't play Platinum Empyrean. That card's awful. But I guess if you're a casual, like, comment, and subscribe if you like Platinum Empyrean. Anyway, yeah. Any final thoughts on this, RC? My final thought is Wizards is going down the drain even faster than I thought they were. It sucks because I love the game so much. And the fact they're not going to produce another Kamigawa set before they go out of business is making me mad.
Yeah, I think this is what happens when companies go corporate. It might not happen right away, but eventually this is what happens when you get certain people on the on the board of directors. When Wizards was bought by Hasbro, this probably just could have been predicted to eventually one day happen, where somebody comes in and says, look, we see that your company's making a lot of money. You have a solid product. We want you to make more money. And this is the result. They got to pump out more product in a shorter time frame. And all of these like little secret cards that they were kind of holding back to maybe slowly release over time start getting pushed into these like lackluster reprint sets just in an effort to move product. And this is kind of what we get.
And I think the worst part about it all,
Magic players just don't have enough money to buy all these products right now.
Yeah, it's like while the economy is better, like you can't expect people to like have to buy like 8 different products at a time to like someone to buy the new Ixalan set and Unstable and Iconic Masters and then Masters 25 and then the new Dominaria set and the new Commander Anthology and this. Did you hear about this battle? I don't. We can talk about this later. But did you hear about the Battleborn thing?
Battleborn? No. Is that the app thing?
No, that's they're producing a set that's specifically tailored to be played as Two-Headed Giant.
Oh, okay.
But it's like a whole set. So and apparently, cool. I mean, it could be, but it looks really lame. But
it could be like conspiracy, where like some of the cards are just unusable after you draft it.
Basically, yeah. That's the thing is, I think it's going to be like conspiracy, but worse. But we'll see. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much more time on this. So, I just want to slip in one more thing. The worst part about all this, like, these problems just keep on happening, and we just have to look at the smug, smiling faces of the people in charge of Wizards every time they do, like, a PR thing. And they're just like, there's nothing wrong with Magic. This is the greatest it's ever been. This is why we always do things. I just hate it. Yeah. Yeah, Mark Rosewater was unbearable last week. So,
okay, well, I don't know if you want to go into that or not.
Well,
I don't follow him on Twitter like you do.
You know the story behind like the question that was on the test for the Great Designer Search they're doing? There was like a controversy.
I'm aware that they're doing the Great Designer Search 3, I think, right? But yes. I don't know about this quiz question. I don't follow it that closely.
Okay, I don't have it pulled up, so we can probably do it on another episode because I would like to talk about it, like on recording. But I think it's one of Mark Rosewater's most smuggest dumb moments, so you'll love it. Anyway, next topic. If you're reading the title of the video, you'll see this. We were going to talk about this, but this week, Black Panther was released, RC, and you are just fresh seeing it. You just saw it right before. We started.
I came out of the theater about maybe an hour and a half ago.
I saw it the first night it was out here. I thought I was not going to get in, and it's but I got in. So what? Okay, so I'll let you start. I guess we'll be courteous, but we're just going to talk spoilers here. We're not going to do a spoiler-free review, so if you're dumb enough to stay and you didn't want to be spoiled, like, comment, and subscribe. And
that email address, one more time, is gcappodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. Okay. Right, so RC, give your overall thoughts on the movie. I'll give my overall thoughts, and then we can go into specifics.
You got it. Okay, well, I know. Well, before I saw this movie, I knew nothing about Black Panther besides like the little like clips of the like trailer and stuff. I'm not a comic book guy. I never read any of these comics. I know Black Panther had a brief appearance in one of the Avengers movies. Is that correct?
It was in Captain America: Civil War.
Okay, yes, I do remember he was on this.
Yeah, that's basically Avengers 2.5, though, even though it was technically a Captain America movie. So. Yeah. Same thing.
So that's all I knew about him, and I don't know. I guess this is like the pessimist in me, but I kind of thought like, geez, they're going to be pushing some politics in this movie. It's going to be, I don't know, just things that I generally don't really subscribe to.
It's stuff you don't want to see when you want to be entertained, right?
You what?
It's stuff you don't want to see when you want to be entertained, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted just to be entertained, and I will say, like, because I didn't really have too high of expectations for the movie, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought the movie wasn't bad at all. There were a few moments in it a few lines of dialogue I thought they probably could have done without, but overall, it wasn't a bad movie at all. And I thought the characters were cast well and that sort of thing. I do have some criticisms with some of the costuming and scenery and stuff, but the overall story was fine. What are your brief thoughts on it?
I thought the movie on the whole was painfully boring.
Okay.
For the most part. So I like the first about half hour of the movie. I would say I'd give the first half hour of the movie a solid 8 out of 10. But then
Okay.
once Andy Serkis's character dies,
Hmm.
well, not that it was all on his character. Well, I did like his character. Not that it was all on his
South
character, but
African guy?
I think the events that happened after his character died seemed rushed and weird, and even the parts that were supposed to be cool weren't cool.
All right,
I
you're gonna have to
liked.
elaborate on that. But Andy
I
Serkis, is
definitely
he
will.
the guy, South African guy with one arm?
Yes. I think his name is
Okay.
like what's his name? I don't know. It's like Ulysses, I think, something.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, I think so.
um, so so specifically, I liked the first scene where they did like the little flashback to Oakland. Um,
Hmm.
because like it started out like Space Jam started out. I loved the movie Space Jam. So like all the kids are playing basketball and it's going like do 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 fly like so like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I like how they save like that little like twist. I do like that story point that they save the twist of he killed his own brother, because the last thing you see in the first part is he's just gonna tell him get him back, to be tried for his crimes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then it's revealed later that he never got to be tried because he tried to pull his weapon and his brother killed him.
Yeah.
And by his I mean the king at
Hmm.
the time, the Black Panther's father in this movie.
Yes.
And so I really liked the whole, because there was a good enough because they already kind of did the mourning thing with Black Panther and the other movie he was in. I guess if you didn't see Civil War, I would think it'd be a little jarring of how like they revealed that his father died, but he's like over it already. But if you watch Civil War, it makes sense because he had the best character arc in the whole movie. He was actually one of my favorite characters in that one, the Black Panther.
Okay.
Because he actually, as opposed to like all the other ones that just seemed thrown in, he had an actual arc. Like his character changed throughout the movie.
Sure.
But specifically, I love the action scene in the Korean casino. That was awesome.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
loved every scene Andy Serkis was in. Did you notice in the Korean casino when the fight broke out, it was like all one shot or like almost all one shot? Like they kept going
No, I didn't
around to the
notice that.
different. Like they kept it. Look, I mean, it could have been just a trick on me. I've only saw it in the theaters once, but at least when the fight started out, they went from You have to apologize. I'm really bad with names.
Yeah, I'm not
So
going to be able to name any of these people,
yes.
unfortunately. I'm just bad with
Um,
character names.
yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh, when so it goes from the general woman who's like the leader of the bald headed warriors.
Yes. Red dress.
It like sweeps it down to where like Andy Serkis's character is like shooting, and like, I love the cool thing where like the CIA guy, he like
Hmm.
puts up the briefcase to like block the bullets. I thought that was cool. Um,
Okay.
um, but then after like that whole chase scene and they capture him, and I like this the part where they're interrogating him because the Andy Serkis is a treasure and whatever he's in. But then Michael B. Jordan's character Killmonger is his like code name or whatever. I forget what his real name. I think it was Eric or something.
Okay.
But I do like the way his character was portrayed. Michael B. Jordan really got into this character, I think.
Yeah, I really liked that character, and I think some of the best villains are the ones that you can like empathize with, and he I could empathize with. Like, I mean, he was still the bad guy, but it wasn't like, oh, he's just like ridiculously evil for the hell of it. Like, it made sense why he was trying to oppose Black Panther and the Kingdom.
Yeah, and it actually made sense that he was able to do what he did. Like it was shown that like he was not only was he very physically well trained, like Army Special Forces or whatever, but he also like I don't know if you caught the line. He like graduated like top of his class in like MIT or something.
Right.
So he was also like really
And
smart.
looked like he had
so
like over 1,000 kills.
yeah, and he had like all these like confirmed kills, which I thought. See, when I saw the trailers, I thought he was just gonna be another Wakandan. Like I know he's Wakandan, but like from Wakanda. Like I didn't think like that was actually a surprise to me that he was like raised in America and was like American Special Forces instead.
Yeah.
because I thought that was like some kind of like, because there are all the different tribes in Wakanda. I thought that was like a tribal thing. But no, that was like his own choice to like mark his confirmed kills, which I think is badass, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do disagree with you on some of the characters that I like to talk about. I think
Okay,
so. First of all, his sister character was awful. It's just.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Who's awful?
Oh, the sister. I forget her name. The one that makes the gadgets.
The science specialist. Good. Okay.
Yes, she was good in that setting, but then whenever T'Chaka, I think his name is, or I think that's his father, T'Challa, the Black Panther. Whenever he is having to make like the tough decisions, or is like talking about leading she like comes in with her like, oh well, we should be helping everyone, haha. And I'm like, well, like, and like I think.
Hey, let's not turn this into another woman bashing episode. Okay, Mike?
I know. No. It's not even a woman. It's just.
I'm kidding.
It's gonna be lefty bashing because
right.
What's his face? The one guy who had the line. I'm pretty sure it was the general guy. The
general guy. Okay. Yeah, the blue robe. He rode the rhino.
Yeah. Didn't he say like if we let the other like Africans in here, it'll be just like that out there.
Yeah,
like here.
I like that line. That was one of my favorite lines of the whole movie. Like, don't let refugees in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't let
this place will go to shit.
Exactly. They're
the movie should have ended there, as far as I'm concerned, and that can like roll credits. Like, there you go. You wanted to be entertained. Too bad. You got an education. Go home and think about it.
You have to go back. You have to go. So what was a gripe you had about the movie?
Well, I don't know. I think, first of all, I will say that this genre of movie, which I've seen been termed African futurism, like a mix of sci-fi with traditional African motifs, it's really hard for me to buy into, because I don't feel like we see this type of like sci-fi mixed with any other sort of like overtly cultural thing done in a way that it's hard for me to buy into the mixing of those two like motifs, because we have African culture, or what people perceive African tribal culture as, which is a lot of like beads and baubles and things, and like a lot of animal skins and teeth and stuff, and generally like primitive looking stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're mixing with like spaceships and like super high tech metal and things, and I just, it doesn't really mesh well together with me. Like, if you wanted to do the African tribal motif stuff, I think that probably lends itself better to like a traditionally fantasy setting where there's actually like magic use and like wizards and things like that. If you're going to go in the sci-fi direction, I think there's got to be some intermediate stages between the tribal primitive look to everything. There's going to be an intermediate stage before you get to that space age stuff. So mixing like,
yeah, this is supposedly the most advanced like society on Earth, right?
Right. And they still wear crocodile teeth around their necks. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and they use spears in combat.
Right.
Right. Like, what? Like, you have futuristic weapons. Why are you using a spear? Right. I don't understand. Well, like that, and like, oh, and they use rhinos apparently, like war rhinos. Like, so, excuse me. And the CGI was awful on those as well. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Like, it was actually no. Like, to me, if me as a person, like specifically, personally, notice that CGI looks bad, it looks really bad. Because I'm not, no, I don't, like, I'll come out of something like, that looked great, and be like, what are you talking about? That was awful. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. So if I think it looks bad, it looked bad. All right? Just saying.
Sure.
So another great, yeah, I basically didn't like any character that wasn't the Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan's character, or Andy Serkis's character. Pretty much. I thought the one guy, like the general guy, even though he had the best line with the refugee thing, he was stupid at the end because like why
he was a traitor.
Like, yeah, well, he's a traitor, and like okay, so at the end where they're about to have the big battle, and the Black Panther shows up, and he's like, I never yielded and I didn't die, so the challenge isn't over yet. They should all immediately turn and be like, hey, he's right. Our traditions say you have to fight him or whatever.
Okay.
But instead, this guy's just like, all right, attack or whatever. Like he's just like
he's a traitor.
Yeah, I know it's the moment he like really became a traitor, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that's dumb. Like his motivations for becoming a traitor were never that clear. Like I guess he agreed with the Killmonger guy that they should just like perform genocide on the whole world. Like I don't like that's
I interpreted it as like he was kind of a weak, cowardly character, sort of behind the scenes, because he wasn't the warrior. Like the warrior class seemed to be the women wearing the red dresses, and he was like more like the priestly class. He wasn't a fighter, and I think he probably identified, oh hey, this new out of town guy, Michael B. Jordan's character. That's the actor's name? Is that correct?
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. Only thing I'll say
he probably identified like this is the tough guy. I got to side with him, or I'm gonna like lose my head.
Maybe, but I mean, yes. But once you see that the Black Panther's back and he's alive, like I don't see that being like the thing is. I have to disagree. I think it was pretty clear that he wasn't like a priestly class. He was a warrior class.
Okay.
But the women were like the elite guard, like they're like the royal guard, I guess would be the easiest way to describe it.
Sure.
And then he's in charge of like the army, like the actual army. Like the women only number like less than 50, right? Where the army probably numbers like in the thousands in total.
Okay.
I would guess for a country like Wakanda. This is just me speculating, but I would assume that's the case because those guys had obviously been trained and have tactics. Like you saw them using their like shields together and whatever.
That's
like
true.
It wasn't it wasn't like his guys were just bums at fighting. They weren't as skilled as like the women, but the women are like the elite guard. So,
okay.
Which is whatever. Like that's in the comics. Like those women exist in the comics, so I can't.
Sure.
I have no gripe with them.
So yeah, I do want to say, for whatever criticisms I have of like the visual scene and like culture that they've created here, I do realize this was all made back in like the 70s or whatever. So there were different expectations back then, and they kind of have to stay true to the comics. So I just feel like if maybe this story was done today, like from a fresh start, maybe they would implement things in a little more believable sense.
Mm-hmm. So you want to know my favorite background character in the movie, RC? It was
his name is mine. All right, who is he?
The big pimpin' guy who wore the green Riddler jacket and had the big lip thing.
Dude, I was gonna call it a green Riddler jacket. Oh yeah, with like the coffee saucer in his lip.
Yeah, like that guy. He was my guy because, like, I guess like the movie expected us to take him seriously. But also, I thought it was cool because, like, so everyone else is wearing like traditional African garb, right?
Yeah.
Or like futuristic versions of it, but he's just wearing a Riddler's like an English suit that's bright green, right? So I think that's and yeah, he balances it out with the giant saucer, but I think that he was my guy. Like I don't even know his name, but he gets the Oscar for this movie.
It was kind of distracting, and I thought like in the beginning I was like, okay, they're showing this guy like, yes, there are African tribes that do that, whatever, okay, but I honestly think you could probably avoid using stuff like that when you're trying to like make a dignified looking African themed super society. I mean, you could probably get rid of the lip disc and the metal.
There was another guy that had
and stuff.
There was another guy in the background when they were like in the town place that had an even bigger one. I was just like, I'll be honest, like I cringed a little bit. I was like, ugh. Like, because I think about how that would feel on your body. Like, could you imagine? Like, I don't know. Like I try to imagine. Like when I just see that, I just imagine what it would feel like to have one, and none of the feelings are good, right? So I don't know. Right. But give the Oscar for costume design next year to whoever did it for this one for giving that guy the Riddler jacket. Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite secondary character with a speaking role?
With this, well, he said he had like 2 lines in the movie, but
did he?
I guess
I didn't think he spoke with
yeah,
that thing in his
no,
mouth.
he at the council meetings he did speak like at least like I think he had like 2 lines. I forget. I don't know exactly what he said.
Okay.
Well, he also spoke. He also was like, remember when they were at the first oh, and I thought of another character that has more lines that I like a lot too, but
okay.
the when they do the first trial by combat or the combat thing at the beginning where all the tribes are gathered and he fights the guy that's from the mountains.
Yes.
Like he's when they're going around.
He's my favorite secondary guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna say. That was gonna be my favorite guy.
Yeah.
Too. Like he had a great.
I liked like his village up in the mountains with a big gorilla statue, kind of holding everything up. And his fur shoulder pad things. He looked like, to me, he reminded me of Zergo Helm Smasher from Khans of Tarkir Block.
Oh, okay.
Where he's sitting on this throne and he's got his like big like armor stuff on. I don't know. He looked like a Mongolian Khan Lord or something. He had a cool look to him, and he had a pretty good personality.
Yeah, no, he ended up like he was like, I guess like if I had to relate to one character like to be I guess my personality, not my being, because I would never be a warrior king like he was. Mm-hmm. But like he was like the fact that like he came in and he didn't just like want to hand over power to the Black Panther because he's like, hey, you failed to protect your father. The world is even increasingly more dangerous. I don't think we need a young kid like you who doesn't seem to know what he's doing on the throne. So I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I think he was just doing his duty by his country. I don't think he like. Honestly, it seemed like it wasn't for selfish reasons whatsoever. That he wanted the throne. It looked like he actually honestly like if you look at it from his perspective, well, if you look at it just from like an unbiased perspective, not just his. He had a very fair point about and even during, and he was right. Like during this movie, the Black Panther gets usurped by like a foreign terrorist. Twice. Who, not only does he get outsmarted by him in the field, he's out battled by him in the home and loses his throne to him. So yeah, like honestly, the guy that is right the whole time is him. And I wish I could remember his name, but I don't. I think it's Ubuntu, maybe? I think it was a U. Okay. But he was great. He was great.
I liked him, yeah.
The part where they scare Martin Freeman's character by yelling at him, I guess we'll say. Or,
yeah, the hoots and hollers.
The hoots and hollers. I'll be honest. Like, I had to say, like, when that happened in the movie, I was like, wait, did the KKK produce this movie? Like, you want us? I don't understand. Like, if you want us to, like, I don't have a favorable, unfavorable position to any race, right? Like, I'm more of a, judge everyone by individual standards mostly. But if you want someone to have a negative opinion on African people, show them hooting like
primates is the good way to do that.
I thought that was a questionable choice.
But I will say, I think chimps are lower. You compare somebody to a chimp, it's more of an insult. But a gorilla is not really a compliment. But gorillas don't have the negative associations that chimps do of like throwing their feces around and eating faces off people and stuff like that. Gorillas are just big and strong.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's the same thing. It's the same. Like, to me, a gorilla, we don't use it as much in, like, our colloquial language, but, like, it's, like, strong. Like, it's, like, to us, like, I guess in the Western world, strength is more compared to, like, I guess, bulls and, like, lions, right? Sure. But
honestly,
like,
gorilla's like king of the jungle. He can, like, tear any animal apart.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's big boy, as my friend would say. But yeah, no, I love those guys. I love that like they still live their like primitive life, even though there were like thousands of years of like technological advancement happening like down the road. Like they were just like so prideful because of that. I think that's great. And the fact that, they wanted to maintain the wall to keep them all out.
Well, except at the end of the movie, Black Panther gives a speech and he talks about how it's better to build bridges than it is to build barriers. And I thought,
yeah,
he's kind of switching sides here, man.
That was the worst line in the movie for me.
And then he's like, "Oh, we're all part of one tribe," and I'm like, I think there's one tribe that had their hand in the making of the script.
Yeah.
When we hear crap like that, but I mean, overall. Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is where your nation's gonna experience a downfall if you do this. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I would say let a bunch of people into your country from like Algeria and Morocco and Libya, and just see what happens. Just like ask like Sweden how they're doing.
Right, exactly.
As Germany that has big giant like poles outside their Christmas markets because the truck of peace might come at any time.
Do some diplomacy on them.
Yeah, just to share the word of God.
Peace be upon him.
Yes, peace be upon him.
Well, anything else you want to say about Black Panther? How about this? If you were to rate it out of a 10, what would you give it?
All right. I'll be nicer than what I was going to, because, all right, I'll give it a 6 out of 10, because there were definitely parts I enjoyed. It wasn't like I hated the whole movie. Right. It wasn't great, because I hate when they just... Here's another pet peeve that I wanted to bring up, I forgot, though, is when the finale is just two people with the same powers fighting each other. I think it's stupid.
They've done that a lot in these Marvel movies.
They do it a lot, yeah. But for Black Panther, it's even more stupid, because their power is being indestructible, right? Like if they didn't come up with like the whatever, the MacGuffin or whatever of the things that can deactivate vibranium or whatever. Like, because I knew that was gonna happen. Like, as soon as she was like, when they had Martin Freeman was there, and they were like, "Oh, what's that?" And they're like, "Oh, those are stabilizers, because the vibranium, we deactivate it for a little bit so it can be shipped at that speed or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I know where the final fight's gonna happen, where the two Black Panthers have to kill each other or whatever in their suits that are indestructible."
A battle of endurance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I knew exactly, So I didn't like that at all. That's why, to me, that's the main reason why the other half really fell flat, is because I knew what was going to happen, and the only saving grace of the other half was when we went to the tribe of the gorilla guys. Those guys were awesome. But I will say I love the Korea scene. I want to be quick. I love Michael B. Jordan. I love Andy Serkis. That's another reason, because he dies in the middle, like right in the beginning of the movie, and he had like amazing scenes up until that. Like when he was like, "What is this, a fucking funeral or whatever? Turn the music on or whatever." I was dying. That was awesome. And when he's like selling him out to the CIA guy, he's like, "Why don't you ask him what his suit's made out of?" Or whatever. Like how dumb can you be, right? Like, or whatever. Like, that was awesome. And then I love the beginning. I like the twist. I like Michael B. Jordan's backstory and his character. Like, everything he's like to me, like, honestly, because he's basically African Hitler, I guess, is what he is. Like, he's literally just like, not only does he believe he's part of the superior race, but he wants to eliminate all the other races off of the earth, because he is the superior because he has to make more room for the superior race.
Sure.
And they've been oppressed by other groups, we'll say.
Colonizers is what they called them in the movie.
Yeah, I think that was, to me, that's so stupid.
It's like, dude, who's living in Oakland? Who's the colonizer?
No. Not even from that perspective, but from the fact that they're Wakandans. They were never conquered, right? They were never colonized. So why would they call other people? Yeah, they've already shown they don't care about other African peoples because they cut themselves off from them, right? So why would they have a gripe with like anybody colonizing them or colonizing anywhere when they were never, like, it's not like they were ever fought a war against the white man, right? And if you want to go to a real like I love the articles that are like, Wakanda is like an Africa that never got colonized, and I'm like, well, Ethiopia is a part of Africa that never got colonized, and you can go see how life is there. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so yeah. So that's my thing. Is there's too many cringe. Like all to me, all the humor fell flat except for Andy Serkis's bits.
Sure.
And the action was not good except for the Korea scene. So maybe 6. I'll go 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. I know that was a long answer to your question.
Drop your score. Okay.
Yeah, I dropped it.
Right. I want to sum up by saying I thought Martin Freeman did an excellent job of portraying an American accent, and that's a minor thing. I have a gripe of Andy Serkis's character. I guess he was from South Africa, which I'm kind of tired of hearing this whole thing about like whites from South Africa are evil. I just think that's a Hollywood thing that is put in there, and I don't know. He could have been from somewhere else, and it would have been fine.
Okay, I think, but the thing is, I think his character in the comics is from South Africa, so I'll give him a pass there. Also, okay. I never really found that a problem with people from South Africa are evil. I mean, I guess so, but like honestly, a lot of villains throughout history are either like Australian or South African or British. Like they love to give them that accent, you know. Sure. So I don't really. I don't know. Like to me, I never thought that was a stereotype. Like maybe it's worse for you, and we could get into that later.
I think stories told from an African perspective, it's common to make a white person from South Africa be the bad guy because of apartheid and colonialization and all this crap. And I think it's a little like tired at this point.
All right, I could see that. All right, go ahead.
All right, so that's another minor critique of mine. I think Michael B. Jordan's character is awesome. I think he's I mean, this might sound weird, but I think he's got a good look to him. I think he's an attractive guy. I think he could be in more movies. Like he's got that like Hollywood look to him. He's like
Have you seen Creed?
Slightly more handsome Jamie Foxx, I guess, is like some of the face, the structure of his face. I hope I see him in more movies.
Have you seen Creed?
No, I've not seen Creed. Is he in that movie?
Yeah, he's like the star.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
it's really. I mean, if you like the Rocky movies, you'll love it. And even if you don't like the Rocky movies, you'll still love it. It's great.
All right, I'll have to check it out. And then I want to say another positive point. I liked how the purple flowers that give the Black Panther his powers. I like how they found a way in the storyline to basically get rid of them, so nobody else can become a Black Panther. And Black Panther is like, I guess, the last person alive on Earth who was able to drink that fluid. So similar to Captain America, it's like, oh, we can make a lot of these, but you're the last guy to get the potion, I guess. So you're like one of a kind now. I thought that was a nice little story tie-in. I was kind of hoping when the girl stole the one like flower before the whole patch was burned, I was kind of hoping she was going to go replant it somewhere and then make more of them, but instead it was like a one-shot thing, and I guess he's stuck with the Black Panther powers now. I thought that was a good plot tie-in. Overall, I'd give the movie probably a 7 out of 10. I like the movie. It's better. I think it's better than several other Marvel movies. I did just watch it. I don't really have a desire to see it again, but I thought overall the story was pretty good.
Sure, and I'll say that like I don't think this is the worst Marvel movie by a long shot. The ones that I'd give like the worst scores are like 2s and 3s. So okay. Just to let you know, so like the 5 is five's not bad for a Marvel movie in my opinion. Okay. Well, I think some of the other ones can get like 8s and 9s. So it's like right in the middle, I guess, for me. It's a middle of the road Marvel movie. It has some things that put. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
It has some things that like put it over. Like some things I'll be like, oh, I really like that, but to me they're outweighed by the stuff that like stinks. I will give it credit for having one of the better Marvel villains because that's always a soft spot in Marvel movies. Like the villains usually are pretty bad. Baron Zemo's still my favorite. I don't think you've seen that one. But
no, what movie is that?
He's Civil War, which I think is my favorite Marvel movie. So I think you should watch it too. I think it's pretty good.
Wait, what's your favorite Marvel movie?
Civil War. Captain America Civil War.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because it's got my favorite villain in it and a lot of my favorite characters. So, yeah. But yeah, so like up there, it's up. He's like right behind like Baron Zemo and Loki for me as Marvel villains.
Yeah, Loki's pretty cool.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes he's a little wimpy, but his powers.
Well, that's kind of his character though. He's a wimp. He's not like a fighter. He's a trickster. So.
Trickster. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So that's our thoughts on Black Panther. Comment, and subscribe if you like Black Panther, and if you disliked it, comment, and subscribe.
Tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah. Tell us why we're right. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us your favorite recipe for chicken cordon bleu, please.
Just talk to us.
Yeah, please. We're very lonely. The so as I guess a final topic. I don't want to ask about our timer. I should have started one.
Oh yeah, well we're a little over an hour, so we could wrap it up here if you want.
Okay. Is it gonna hurt you if we don't talk about anything else?
No, it'd be fine. We can talk about it next time or some other show we could fit it in.
All right, like, comment, and subscribe if we should talk about something else, guys. Okay. So, all right. Well, that's it. Well, we did some Magic, some Black Panther. We'll try to do like some more philosophical or political stuff. I guess we got into a little bit with the Black Panther talk, but not like a heavy topic. So, but I wanted to do current. Like, a lot of stuff happened this week, and I think it's okay to have some episodes be current events. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like current events.
Some shows are just going to be like this depending on what happens throughout the day.
Like if we don't feel like doing research on I don't know why why the moon landing was predicted by the Byzantine Empire, then so
some shows may be like that, but we're not always going to research it. So
we talk about
thoughts about a movie.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing, There's a nice variety for everyone. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like variety. Anyway. All right, guys. So that was the second episode of the Geek Culture Philosophy Podcast. Please email us and whatever you want to do. And have a great weekend. We hope you enjoy every part of your life.
You have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Bye-bye.